What's going on, you guys? Okay, so I titled this Waiting in Dating or Ready for Dating because I feel like sometimes we get really passive, not only in our dating and love life, but even when our in our work life and other things that we want to do. We're waiting for the right moment, we're waiting for the right person, we're waiting for somebody to make a first move. But I just feel like waiting has an actual weight to it that feels stagnant and kind of feels like lacking energy. It feels a little bit powerless. So I wanted to come to you guys today and share something that I kind of went through and had a realization about when I was self examining. A lot of what I talk about on Loving Life Deep, which you should go follow my Instagram page. I help single Black women over 30 go from helpless to hopeful in love. And I feel like it's something that I can speak to because it's something that, I've personally gone through. Us girls, we're always talking about it, whether it's the guys we're dating, when we're going to start our families, and all of these things. So I feel like it's important to kind of like build a tribe and something supportive so that we can, grow on this journey together. So I wanted to share something that I found to be so valuable, right? So let me take out this earring. I think it's clicking. That's probably better. Um, I wanted to make sure to come to you guys today. My goal is to be consistent. So it was on my heart to share this. And I put it on the Instagram page too. So, you know how we all have yin and yang? We all have the divine masculine and the divine feminine within us, right? So there's traits that go under each of those categories. And sometimes when those traits are not aligned, are not whole, or they're wounded in areas, we low key be attracting people with that same energy. Either that or we don't have the levels to see people properly, to make proper choices, and even put ourselves in the right space. I see so many things online where people are complaining about who they're dating. Everything seems so misaligned, but sometimes I wonder, like, if we had a little more self knowledge and did a little bit more of the self work and self mastery, hey, how's it going? Would we be able to make better decisions? Because that's what it really is at the end of the day. There's only so much complaining about men and 2022 and dating and casual sex and social media and what's not happening. There's only so much of that we can do, right? Until we learn to take power into our own hands and accountability. We create our realities. So why not act like it, right? So, anyway, back to the sacred masculine and divine feminine. I wanted to share with you guys, and I think you should save this video because the stuff that I'm about to list is something that you can go back to and reevaluate these things with yourself. So I was reading an amazing article on Mind Body Green, and this is where I got these traits from. So I'm going to start with the divine masculine, right? So here are 11 traits of divine masculine: risk taking, assertiveness, action oriented, discipline, boundaries, confidence, objectivity, logic and analysis, warrior, yang, and survival. Okay, so that was a list of 11 things that are known to be divine masculine traits. Not only traits that we find heightened in men, but, women and men, we both have divine masculine and divine feminine within. Now, let me go read the feminine traits before I start to share with you the purpose of this. So, here are 12 feminine traits: gentle, kind, sensual, creative, reflective, collaborative, forgiving, accepting, wise, compassionate, heart centered, and intuitive. So now let's kind of break it down a little bit, right? I will tell you guys what I believe I was struggling with so you can find similarities, go over these traits, and check in with yourself to see where some of them are lacking, where they're lacking energy, where they're lacking boldness and fullness. For me, when I looked under the divine masculine list, for a while, I really, and sometimes I still do, like, trust me, I'm not all the way out the woods. I struggle with discipline. I was struggling with boundaries. And at the time, I was struggling with confidence and, confidence in certain areas. So, best believe the counterparts that I was attracting low key had the same issues. Men with lack of discipline, men with lack of boundaries and confidence. And when I was able to recognize the lack of that within myself, I looked at the guys that were on my line and I was like, wow, these are the issues that we're having. This guy lacks discipline. And this is why we're having the arguments that we're having. Why are we like what? These boundaries, he doesn't have boundaries within himself. And my boundaries are lacking. So how do we both come together and create anything of importance if we're lacking in some of these areas? So the second I started to brush up on some of the things, because when it comes to the divine masculine, let's say with the traits that I gave you guys, like for me, it was kind of wounded, right? Like the divine masculine with all the boldness, it's action oriented, it's confident, it's survival, logic, analysis, all of these things. I got tired. I used to run fierce on a lot of stuff. And after a certain amount of time, I just got tired. So my divine masculine was in the corner, beat up, tired, sleep, while my divine feminine, she's over here, running everything, doing all that. But there has to be a balance. So I had to revisit that part of myself and be like, all right, I know that you're not enforcing this in this moment because this happened and you're feeling this way. Let's address that. Let's get to the root of the confusion of that. Let's get to the root of the lack of desire to be full in some of these traits so we can look at them and reassess and reevaluate. We should constantly be reassessing and reevaluating. Life happens, we get beat up, we go through things get hard, but we don't have to remain in the space or the collection of choices we made in one season and drag that energy to another season. We're changing, we're growing, we're trying new things, we're learning, we're evolving. So should our thought process, right? So should the things that we expect. So should the way that we grow and what we allow into our lives. So when I was able to kind of identify that, I was like, okay, yeah, let me put a pin in that. Let me get back to, not even back to, I don't even need to go back to what it was. Let me look at who I am now and evolve some of these things so I can meet my higher self at where I need to be. Because I take responsibility for everything that happens in my life. If you're not thinking that, we're not powerless. The way you show up and the things that show up for you are a product of the way you think, feel, speak, and act. So it's all on you. This is why sometimes when I look at some of these, arguments between men and women online, it's like, oh my God, yo, like we're all in this together, but you have your own responsibility. So anyway, I was kind of thinking that too when I was interesting. Yeah, I know, right? Thank you for tuning in. Um, when I was looking at the divine feminine qualities, I remember seeing this post from a guy. I cannot remember his name, but he's like a super multi millionaire. He's got a huge team. He has all this stuff going on. It wasn't Ed Milet, but it was a guy like that. And he was talking about feminine traits such as like kindness and forgiveness and all of these things that he infused into his alpha maleness, right? Just being more compassionate, more heart-centered in his business. And when he switched his mindset and invited some of those traits into his function without the need of being like hard, like leadership doesn't mean you're just this hard warrior that no one can deal with or get to. There are compassionate and kind-hearted and there's softer things that are invited in. He said once he did that and put focus on that and attention on that, healed the parts of him that wasn't ready to do those types of things, his business like doubled and tripled. And I believe that because y'all have all, I'm pretty sure, had some kind of job and no one likes an asshole. Like there needs to be a point where you have some compassion for what's going on, or you're leading your team from a heart-centered space, or you're some kind of intuitive on how to run the team or whatever's happening. Like these are things that need to be invited in and definitely help men, especially alpha men, grow business, get along with their teams and lead in a way that allows them to double, triple, and 10 times their business because we are attracted to that because it's the totality of who we all are. So, and you can always tell when, someone is rigid in those areas or not willing to bend in certain areas, and it can be hard to deal with. So I think there was one more point I wanted to make, but oh, that's right. Okay, so I did a poll. I want you guys to follow on Loving Life Deep. And it was interesting to see the poll I got from the ladies, and I asked them what they were struggling with. And do you know, every single woman that responded to the poll that I put on my Loving Life Deep page, said under their divine feminine traits, they were having a hard time with acceptance, with accepting. Hey, SJ, thank you for tuning in. They were all having trouble with acceptance. Now, again, you can rewind this and read the traits I was talking about, but think about that, right? If you know you're struggling with accepting, but you want to be in a relationship. Now, I'm not saying that we have to be perfect, but it would probably be best to examine that trait and lean into it a little bit and get to the root of why it's hard for you to accept. Because to accept things, we need to be open and receptive and accepting. When people want to give us love, do we have space to receive it? Why is that hard? If that is something that is hard, it is worth the examination, because I find, and I'm guessing, and I have experienced that when you're not open to receiving and accepting, you can date, but you end up dating guys that are not willing to give because your receptor is cut off. So this is why I'm like, we don't need to be waiting on this and that. You can be very active and very proactive on your self-love and self-mastery in this to help align you with exactly what you want. It's not the dating pool. It's not everybody else. It's not all of these external things that are deterring us from any and everything that we feel like we desire. It's us. And that should be exciting because you have control over that. So I just wanted to pop in and say that. That's really it. I want you guys to follow me on Loving Life Deep. If you like this message, share it, like, comment. If there are traits that are a little bit harder for you, let me know about it in the comments. Everybody has them. Some of the other girls, and including myself, I'm still working on it, is discipline, one of my masculine traits. But, I've been dealing with that since I was like a kid. I remember my daddy lecturing me like, you need to be disciplined. He was a military man. And I'm like, no, I just want to, tomorrow we'll figure out what we're doing. So anyways, I'm not coming here as an expert who has it all together. We're growing together. We're all working on it, right? So yeah, like, comment, share. If my page, Loving Life Deep, which you can see right there, you guys follow on Instagram. I'm sharing so much, so many stories, so much wisdom, modalities, and techniques that you can do and have fun with and invite into your life to grow to the space, to align with what your heart's desire. You're not waiting on a man. You're aligning. You're not in despair. You're not hopeless. And it's not over for you. But I titled this something about being more active. I don't even know what the title is anymore. I forgot. You're not waiting though. We're doing this actively. Okay. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys in the comments. Love you for being here. And I'm not going to say I'm going to come back tomorrow, but I probably will because I have a lot to share with you. So don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Loving Life Deep. I help single Black women over 30 go from helpless to hopeful in love. One of the things besides my own journey that catapulted this is I've been thinking about it all year, but I saw this post the other day. It was a girl in her car crying, and her whole caption was like, I'm 39, I'm single, I have no kids, I feel just so hopeless. God help me, and I'm just thinking like, gosh, I understand the desire and I understand the despair, but it isn't, we only get one life. You know what I mean? Like, why go through our existence feeling that way? And do you think feeling that way is going to put you in a position to change your situation? It's not. So Whether you're married or single, loving your own life deeply is something you need to be doing anyway and know how to do well. So, we're going to get to all of that. I have a technique and a method I put together called Sassy, because sassy girls don't settle. And it's not what you think, but it is S, self love and mastery, alignment, spiritual wellness, supplanting, which we'll talk about, and your why. So I go over all of these things and again, give you guys techniques and modalities and stories and just little nuggets and words of the day that you can use to keep pushing forward in full hope. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm a little tired today. I'm going to wind it down, but thank you for tuning in. You're so amazing. And I will see you over on my Instagram at Loving Life Deep. Thanks for watching.